بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين، واللعنة الدائمة الأبدية على
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد
إلى
لله رب
قيام يوم
العالمين،
الدين.
والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين واللعنة.
رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. عظم الله أجورنا وأجركم the martyrdom of معصومة قم سلام الله عليها. Inshallah, we are going to take our session 9 on the Tanqeeh of Sayyid Alkhoei Quddasa Sirruh, the chapter of Ijtihad, Taqleed and Ihtiyat. So, um, just a reminder, uh, many times some of the students, they ask, why are we stretching too much? And it's why don't we just finish it off? We know that the ruling is this and that. It's not about it's not about the ruling. Ruling you learn in the classes of fiqh, Islam. Islam. This session is bahth. What does bahth mean? And it is advanced level. We're trying to simplify it to a lum'a level. We give to our beloved ones who would like to strengthen their background in ilm al-usul. So basically, if someone wants to become mujtahid, one of the important thing is that the methodology of ijtihad. And when Sayyid al-Khuy Quddasa Sirruh, or any marja gives bahth kharij, what he's trying to bring the rulings and try to break it down, analyze, bring the arguments and bring the counter arguments. These kind of lessons are training of ijtihad, like to know how the mujtahid, he concludes by arguments and counter arguments. So in this bath we saw how Sayyid al-Khuy Quddasa Sirruh proved that it is an intellectual, the ijtihad, taqleed and ihtiyat are based on intellectual evidence, intellectual argument. So this was his claim, and he proved based on the concept of maslak haqq ta'a, and then the انشغال اليقيني, الاشتغال اليقيني يستدعي الفراغ اليقيني. That means for sure, certainty, you have to make sure that any doubtful responsibility, you are relieved from it. Not just certain responsibilities, you're sure of the certain responsibilities. No, even the doubtful responsibilities, you are required. So when you do ihtiyat, the umbrella ihtiyat, remember the mega ihtiyat. So that mega umbrella ihtiyat is like to relieve yourself from not just certain responsibilities like doubtful, shak, ihtimal. You have a minor probability about the say, let's say Salat al-Jum'ah being wajib, or any rule. So, but you're not sure that it is required or not. Maslak haqq ta'a means you do it. Unless if Sharia tells you, I'm not interested in your fulfillment of the doubtful responsibilities. I just want you to fulfill the certain responsibility you are certain about. And there were adillat al-bara al-shar'iyyah. Shar'iyyah, that means religious evidences came, and they said, okay, so we're going to relieve you from the probable responsibilities, and yeah, but whenever there is this knowledge, you are required to fulfill the knowledge, but doubt. So, so now we know that knowledge, yes; doubt, no. The religious evidences, they exempt us from this intellectual responsibility based on maslak haqq ta'a. However, what about the knowledge and doubtful scenario, like two cups? I know one of them has najasat. Which one? I don't know. So I know there is knowledge, and then I'm doubtful in which cups. So that is called al-ilm al-ijmali, a knowledge associated with doubts, knowledge associated with doubt. Ijmalan, you have ilm, you have knowledge in lump sum. general knowledge you have that there is najasat in one of the cups, but which one of the cups, that is where you're still doubtful. So ilm al-ijmali, the adillatul bara'a, adillatul bara'a, sorry, the adillah of relieving you from doubtful responsibilities, they do not relieve you from the doubts which are associated with knowledge. Why? Because there's knowledge there. Okay, so knowledge is taken seriously. So that is why whenever there's ilm al-ijmali, so you have to do the precautionary measures to secure whatever knowledge, whatever, wherever the knowledge is, either here, either here. So you do the ihtiyat by either doing the wudu with both water, but then you will become najis, so avoiding both water, or you are going to do the like, if there was like, one water is mudaf, mixed water, and one water is pure, absolute water. Okay, so here, ilm al-ijmali, knowledge, but which one I don't know. Here you will do the wudu with both waters because there's no najasat. So see, ilm al-ijmali here tells you do wudu with both water. Why? Because there is no risk there, risk of najasat being on your body. Because before salah you have to clean yourself, you have to purify yourself from the najasat. Salat needs purification. So here there is no risk of your body parts being najis. But there, if one of the cups were najis, if you say ihtiyat is both, because at least you have one wudu correct. Yes, I did my wudu correct, but then I have this najasat on my body, which I need to remove it. So how will I remove it? So then you go to tayammum, something. The third scenario also they mention about two cups. One is usurped, and one is for sure unusurped. But which one I don't know. So here also they say this is ilm ijmali. So here also they say that if you use both, then definitely you have committed haram. Okay, your wudu will be invalid, but then your wudu will be correct as well, because one of them is permitted, one of them is usurped, not permissible for you to use that water. But they got confused now. You got mixed up. You don't know which one. So you say if you do ihtiyat by both are pure, use ihtiyat to use both, then definitely you have committed haram, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibits you. So what should I do? Leave and do the tayammum. So you see, in this ilm al-ijmali case, there are two cases where you do tayammum, usurped and najasat, and one case you do wudu with both. So even the mode of ihtiyat, you see how different it is in different patterns of ilm al-ijmali, because you want to secure your responsibility without violating a new responsibility. In najasat, you are going to violate. In ghasb or usurp, you are going to violate. So this is the kind of situation where ilm al-ijmali is it works out. Therefore it is, yeah. So today's session, two things, two words, I want you to know them, and these are terminologies of ilm al-usul. So whenever you read books of ilm al-usul, you know there's something which is called shubha hukmiyya, shubha mawdu'iyya. I'm just going to use the whiteboard so it fits in the mind. What is shubha hukmiyya? Doubt in the object, and doubt in the so if you can see the screen. Okay, so I have this two. Let's see. Let's keep it one. Okay, so you in both you have water, but both you have liquid, sorry. So here I know this is alcohol. Okay. I know this is, for example, al-khamr. Or let's khamr, everybody knows. Let's take an example of a liquid which has alcohol in it. Okay. So perfume, for example, or some kind of liquid where they have used alcohol in it. Okay. Now, so we have alcohol. So I'm going to change it to kohol because this terminology repeats frequently. So it's better to know this terminology. So here also we have liquid, but the doubt, there's a doubt. Doubt that it is alcohol, it is pure or najis. I don't know what's the problem with this pen. It messed up. When I restart the computer, it will write, but I don't have time to restart. Anyhow, pure, tahir, and najis. And there is shak here. Okay. And here I'm going to, since we have example there, tahir and najis, we'll put it najis here. Okay. There is najasa in it. So, so shubha, what is with this pen? So, let me see if I, the pen will work. Okay. Yeah. So this is shubha means doubt. No. Shubha means what? Doubt. Here, the doubt is in mawdu'. Okay. That means the object itself. I don't know whether it is najis or not. I know the ruling. The ruling is known. And so I know the ruling. I can't drink najis, but I don't know what is this. So we call it here shubha mawdu'iyya. So if you hear shubha mawdu'iyya, that means we know the ruling, but we are confused or we have a doubt, ishtibah, in the object itself. And then here we have ruling is not known on the level of ijtihad or on the level of taqleed. The ruling not known, al-hukum. Here I know there's ilm, I know that this is najis, but I don't know. I mean, can I drink that? Drop of najasat fell into it, so what? It's a cup of water and I don't see the najasat with my eyes. Okay. So I don't know if a drop of najasat falls into, like you're drinking water and a small piece of blood from your lip touched the water. So the water became najis. Okay. So you know it's najis, but you can't see the change in the water, taste, color, all those kind of things. So what you say is, you know something, um, as long as I can't see the najasa, you mix up with the rule of the plenty water with less water, qalil with kathir. So here what happens that you have a rule here which is unknown. So here we call it shubha, shubha hukmiyya. And shubha hukmiyya, shubha mawdu'iyya is like pure mukallaf issue. Like for everybody in practical level, shubha hukmiya encounters people. But shubha mawdu, I mean shubha mawdu'iyya, the mawdu, many times we face, I don't know, it's najis or pure, it's halal or haram thing. But like halal or haram, not from the hukum aspect, no, the liquid, I don't know it is halal liquid or haram. Halal, should I drink? I know the ruling, I should not. So I don't have shubha hukmiyya here. No, I have shubha mawdu'iyya. But here, I know the liquid is impure. So mawdu' is known. Hukum is not known. And hukum not known can be at two levels. One is at level of mukallaf, me as a responsible person, okay, layman, and on the level of mujtahid. Mujtahid, jurist. Marja doesn't know the ruling. He's looking and looking, but still. So he has shubha hukmiyya. So what should he do in this shubha hukmiyya? Should he give fatwa based on what? He has a doubt. Shubha hukmiyya for the level of mukallaf, find out what the marja says, finish. But I don't have access to the marja now. Do the whatever probable meaning you come up, okay, and then check if you had if your action was in accordance with your marja or not. Number one. Number two, if it was not, then check whether your marja requires redoing it, making it up, or you're okay. So that's shubha hukmiyya, that I don't know the ruling. Go to the marja. Shubha hukmi on the level of mujtahid, he's a mujtahid. We can't say go to the marja. He can't find riwayah, or the riwayah is weak, or there's a problem in the narration, or there's a conflict in the narration. Both are authentic, but there is a conflict, and so he is now in a confused state. Should I give the ruling? And if I give the ruling based on what? This, he has a so this is called shubha hukmiyya. So shubha hukmiyya could be at the level of marja, it could be level of the muqallid. Okay, so now this is the terminology I wanted you to focus, shubha hukmiyya, that there is doubt in the thing. Now we go back to our slide and see where did we stop. Yeah, so what we were trying to discuss is that, as I said, he proves and then he argues those who had a different opinion. So last week we stopped till this this slide. Okay, so the whole idea is he's trying to, so he said it is wujub aqli, and he proved maslak haqq ta'a in it. Now he is those who said no, it is wujub shar'i. Okay, shar'i, is it nafsi, or is it ghayri, or is it tariqi? What type of shar'i is it? Because shar'i has several sections. An evidence in sharia could indicate wajib nafsi, such as salat. An evidence in sharia could indicate wajib ghairi, wajib for other thing, prerequisite. Okay, so that could be like wudu, la salata illa bitahur. And wujub could be mawdu'i, moon sighting, it's required, it is the obligation. Okay, without it you cannot come to conclusion that the moon is moon it's Eid tomorrow, or no, it's tariqi. So moon sighting is just a method of knowing the entrance of the month. If you have the knowledge that the month enters, without moon sighting, having the knowledge without moon sighting that the moon is in the sky in the in a size, or in a in the characteristics which can be observed by the people of the earth, but you can't see, or you don't have to see. Then even if you can see, you don't have to sight the moon. So موضوعي طريقي. So once we go to the text, then the door opens. What is the indication of the text? Is it موضوعي or طريقي? Is it نفسي or غيري? And it could be also another portal, kifai or aini. All those different things can come up in those kind of wujubat al-shar'iyya based on the dalil al-shar'i. But this wujub al-aqli is one khalas. That's it. Aqlan, you have to do it. Why? Because there is a doubt that you may be required. Okay, so for to relieve yourself from the doubt, you have only three ways to relieve it. Either you work and reach the level of ijtihad, either you follow a mujtahid, either you do precautionary measure. This is a mini precaution, sub precaution. That bigger precaution is the maslak haqq ta'a. But this is belonging to that one of the three categories to relieve yourself from the responsibility. So this was his argument. Now, and he started rebuttaling or arguing against wujub shar'i, being wujub nafsi, or wujub aini, or wujub tariqi, wujub nafsi, wujub ghairi, wujub tariqi. He started, so what we are doing is we are now going through his arguments against those who said it is wujub shar'i. So that's why it's a lengthy procedure, because he breaks down and splits hairs of each one of those argument segments which were used by those who had a wujub shar'i, who had claimed that it's wujub shar'i. So so last week, وَمَا عَدَمُ كَوْنِهِ وُجُوبٌ طَرِيقِيًا, as for it is not wujub tariqi, remember, tariqi, mawdu'i, moon sighting required or no, not required. So he mentioned this, and we completed. So, and we also started a little bit from here, and from here we'll continue. So he says now وَلَكِنَّ الصَّحِيحِ, he's saying sahih, not for him. He's saying if hypothetically we are going to go with this tariqi, okay, in the case of mu'adhiriyya or munajjiziyya, then it is going to be, we have to consider a hypothesis. Okay, so أن يقال إن الكلام قد يفرض. Okay, في موارد العلم الإجمالي. So we are trying to prove the mu'adhiriyya and munajjiziyya. If we are going to use dalil shar'i, Okay, and we are going to consider wujub tariqi. So he says that في موارد العلم الإجمالي بالأحكام. See, علم الإجمالي بالأحكام. What does that mean? شبهة حكمية. شبهة حكمية. So doubt with knowledge, like مسلك حق الطاعة. So في موارد العلم الإجمالي بالأحكام, one scenario. So there are two scenarios. So another scenario of معذرين منجزية could be في موارد عدمه. What is عدمه? عدم العلم الإجمالي. So the scenario number one, we are going to argue the معذرين منجزية in the case of علم الإجمالي, in the شبهة حكمية. Remember, علم الإجمالي could be in شبهة موضوعية. Two components, I know one of them, that's موضوع. I know the rule, but which one of them I'm doubting. So no, here we are talking about is it wajib or mustahab? Is it makruh or haram? So شبهة حكمية I have. Okay. So في موارد العلم الإجمالي بالأحكام, scenario number one. He's breaking it down. Okay, he's not going to let it go just like that. He's going to, because these are the claims of other respected great scholars. He's arguing against it. وقد يفرض في موارد عدمه من الابتداء. Okay, like basic doubt. أو وجوده وانحلاله. Okay, yeah, this one I forgot to explain this. We go back to our white screen or magic board or whatever they call it. Whiteboard. Okay. So if you will look into علم الأصول in الحلقات, there's something which is called انحلال العلم الإجمالي. Okay. Dissolving علم الإجمالي. Dissociating, like breaking down علم الإجمالي. How does that happen? If one of the components is known, your ilm al-ijmali breaks down. So where was our situation? Our situation was not here. Our situation was with two canisters. So let's make the two canisters. Clear this page. So we have ilm al-ijmali. One of them is najis. This one or this one. So I have ilm. Okay. But which one? This one or this one? This is what ilm al-ijmali. But we're talking ilm al-ijmali here in what? In shubha mawdu'iyya. Okay, we are talking, I know the ruling, najasat, I cannot drink or do wudu. But which one of them? So let's say a trustworthy person came and he said, this one has it. Okay, what happened? Our ilm al-ijmali got dissolved. I have yaqeen, certainty. And what about this other component? Am I relieved? Okay. So this one, yaqinan, is najis now. Okay. This one is yaqinan najis. So I got yaqeen. So what about this one now? Shaykh Muhammad Baqir al-Sadr says there is still doubt in that. Sayyidina, the guy trustworthy came and said this one is najis, khalas. Okay. That means we got yaqeen here. We got yaqeen that this is pure. Okay. This is pure. He said, no, wait. This trustworthy person, he came. He's infallible? No. So we take the word of trustworthy because Sharia told us to take the trustworthy. I'm going to take responsibility, Sharia told us. So what does that mean? That means still there is some kind of doubt that he might have been mistaken, he might have been confused, he might, but he took the responsibility. And we, because he's trustworthy, we take his words. Okay? So now that thing became what? Najis. So other supposed to be pure. He said yes, pure, but still there is a doubt of najasa. Why? Because that person is not infallible. So we call it here basic doubt, not doubt with knowledge, not ilm ijmali. Basic doubt. Those say we need to learn. This is ilm al-usul. I'm teaching you ilm al-usul as well. I'm reminding you, those who studied ilm al-usul. So this became what? Basic doubt. So it is not free from doubt. So this one, it has basic doubt. But ilm gone. Ilm came on this side. So ilm is here. And here, because ilm ijmali broke, left me with two products. One ilm and one still basic. We call it shak ibtidai. What shak ibtidai? Sheikh Muhammad Baqir Sadr says shak badwi. Yani ibtidai means initial doubt, basic doubt, ibtidai. That means what? That means religious. Maslak haqq ta'a says, oh, you have to this basic doubt, you have to do precaution. But adillat al-bara'a, the evidences of relieving from the responsibility from the doubtful situation, said no problem, you can do wudu with this, you can drink it, it's okay. So when ilm al-ijmali breaks down, okay, then we have yaqeen and shak ibtida'i, which bara'a goes in. Okay, now another example. I know I'm in a mood of eating lahma or kibbaniyya or something like that. So I have two shops. Okay. I know one of them sells haram meat. So I have knowledge. But which one? This one or this one? I don't know. So here, Ilm al-Ijmali tells you avoid both of them. Ilm al-Ijmali, I have knowledge that one of these two has haram. One trustworthy person came, no, 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 this guy is halal. So ilm al-ijmali broke down. So I have now ilm. This is najis. So this trustworthy. So still there is a small doubt here. Okay, that might not be trustworthy. That might have mistaken, confused. So that's fine. This is shak ibtida. You can go and eat your kubbaniyya or lahma or kebab Iraqi, whatever you eat here. So see how ilm al-ijmali breaks down. So this is what Sayyid Alkhoei Quddas Sirra is mentioning here in this slide when he says shak ibtida'i or shak badwi. This is what he is meaning. Okay. So we have two scenarios. He's going to respond to these two scenarios. He says this munajjiziyya and mu'adhiri. What was our topic? Our topic was wujub tariqi. Okay, we are still discussing wujub tariqi, uh, about what? About the mu'adhiriyya and munajjiziyya. So So he said now, ولكن الصحيح, if you want to argue further, then you will have to observe two scenarios of معذرية and منجزية in علم الإجمالي or non-علم الإجمالي. So further breaking down. So let's see, can we have وجوب طريقي in علم الإجمالي, or can we have وجوب طريقي when علم الإجمالي is broken down and there is وقد يفرض في موارد عدمه, عدم العلم الإجمالي من الابتداء, like شك ابتدائي, basic doubt, أو وجوده, or no, it is no علم إجمالي ولكن بانحلاله بالظفر بمقدار معتاد به من الأحكام. No, it broke down. It became dissolved by ظفر means by achieving, achievement, okay, victory, ظفر. So by achieving um, بمقدار معتاد, I got some of the knowledge about its ruling. So علم الإجمالي became dissolved. Okay. So one, like for example, I know that Salat al-Jum'ah is wajib or Salat al-Dhuhr on Friday. But I don't know which one. Should I pray Friday or should I pray Dhuhr? I'm talking about the ijtihad level. So this is Shubha Hukmiya. I need to know the hukum. So if I pray Jum'ah, do I need to pray Salat al-Dhuhr or not? Or if I pray Salat al-Dhuhr, do I need to pray Jum'ah or not? One of them is wajib, and I'm doing in the level of ijtihad, I need to find out which one. So once a mujtahid, let's say hypothetically, says Salat al-Jum'ah is wajib, then Salat al-Dhuhr is not wajib. But since these ahkam are zahiriyya and not waqi'iyya, apparent rule from the understanding the text, and it may have it may be against or different than the real law in the knowledge of Allah, which we don't have it, okay, except few things. So this hukm al-waqi'i, which has been proven to hukm al-zahiri, apparent, that means there is a probability that could be mistake, there could be error here. But that is what I tried my best, and I was able to conclude that this hukum, zahiri, apparent hukum, is what is required. مقدار معتد به من الأحكام. So I got the hukum of it in a level that I was able to dissolve the ilm ijmali and say dhuhr is not needed. But dhuhr is not needed. So that's why some scholars say they ihtiyat istihbab and pray dhuhr as well. Okay, like don't leave dhuhr totally. Recommended precaution, for example, precautionary measure. Some might say obligatory precaution. Okay, Jum'ah I prayed, pray dhuhr is so you will see that some scholars will not let the dhuhr go totally. They say pray dhuhr. احتياط استحبابي, recommended precaution. Don't let it go totally. Why? Because it's basic doubt. It's no wajib. The ilm al-ijmali has been dissolved. Jum'ah wajiba, dhuhr not wajib. Khalas, it's dissolved. But dhuhr not wajiba is like 100% not wajib. Okay? So still, it could be wajib. There is a doubt because we took ahkam zahiriyya. So they say, okay, then do ihtiyatan dhuhr. But it's not wajib because ilm al-ijmali has broken down. So shubha hukmiya is finished. Doubt in the ruling clear on the level of ijtihad. So therefore, so two hypotheses. He says if we are going to discuss munajjiziyya and mu'adhiriyya, then we have two hypotheses. Either it is in the level of ilm al-ijmali, okay, or it is in the level of dissolve ilm al-ijmali into yaqeen and basic doubt. So I have basic doubt. What should I do in this basic doubt? So where I got some kind of rulings, that dissolved. So either it's a basic doubt, either basic doubt became due to the dissolving of the ilm al-ijmali. So basic doubt could be just basic doubt out of blue. I have a narration that might indicate Salatul Layl is wajib, but it's a weak narration. So it creates a basic doubt. Is it wajib or not? For example, I'm saying. So this is basic doubt initially without ilm al-ijmali. So Bara'a tells us no, it's not because it's a basic doubt. When we come to ilm al-ijmali dissolved, one of the salat is wajib. Which one? Okay, Jum'ah wajib, khalas. What about Dhuhr? Dhuhr has become basic doubt. So this basic doubt could be production of nothing, production of weak narration, something, or production of ilm al-ijmali being dissolved. So these are the two scenarios. Now let's discuss these two scenarios. Scenario number one, okay, أما الصورة الأولى موارد العلم الإجمالي فالحال فيها كما بيناه. We have repeated so many times. Okay, لأنه لا معنى للوجوب الطريقي. When we are discussing مسلك حق الطاعة, okay, that means we are not taking any religious evidences. So we are not taking any religious evidences. Wujub al-tariqi is associated with religious evidences. So there's no need to talk about that. If we have already proven ilm al-ijmali is to be observed as an obligation, then I don't need another obligation. It will be redundancy. I don't need Sharia obligation. So he says, فَالْحَالُ فِيهَا كَمَا بَيَّنَّاهُ. The situation, the argument in this, we have already discussed it. لا معنى للوجوب الطريقي. We have already taken the umbrella of مسلك حق الطاعة دليل عقل, finish. We're not even looking at dalil shar'i in this case. So he says then, فلا معنى للوجوب الطريقي. So to prove munajjiziyya, mu'adhiri, I don't need wujub tariqi. Already the mu'adhiri and munajjiziyya has been proven. But the argument in the previous one, we said that, yeah, it could be like echoing the what type of punishment. The punishment is a declaration of the punishment. Okay, so wujub aqli declares that the person violating deserves punishment. But what type of punishment? Yes, then the Sharia gives me the details about the punishment or those kind of things which we discussed previously. Okay. So لا معنى للوجوب الطريقي حينئذ فإن مفروض الكلام تنجز الأحكام الواقعية بالعلم الإجمالي. What we are trying to prove is munajjiziyya of ilm al-ijmali of the rulings of shubha hukmiyya. Okay, where we have shubha hukmiyya on the level of marja'iyya or ijtihad, that hukum is munajjaz. This is what we are trying to prove. But we have already proven the obligation of relieving yourself from the doubtful responsibilities, not just certain responsibilities. فلا مجال لتنجيزها ثانيا. It's already done. One, we said Dalil al-Aqli said wajib, by default munajjizi has been produced. Okay, that means you deserve to be punished, or the person who violates the precautionary measures or does not do taqleed or does not do ihtiyat or does not do precaution is going to be punished. So there is no need. فلا مجال لتنجزها ثانيا. Okay, there is no need to produce another منجزية بالأمر بالاحتياط أو التقليد أو الاحتياط. Okay, والاجتهاد. So there's no need for that. خلاص, we've proven that we have to relieve our responsibilities. There are only three ways. One of the three ways could relieve you: either ijtihad, either taqleed, either ihtiyat. So if dalil shar'i comes and echoes these kind of things, so it cannot cover the area of ilm al-ijmali, which has already been proven, and the munajjiziyya has been produced. okay, from the maslak حق الطاعة, dalil al-aqli. So this is scenario number one. He said we don't need to. Let's say scenario number two. In the case of shakk al-ibtidai, this is he's countering the argument of those. He said yes, if they want, they can prove in certain areas, but not in ilm al-ijmali. Okay, munajjiziyya. So he says that وأما الصورة الثانية, second scenario, that means موارد عدم العلم الإجمالي بالأحكام. That means we have شبه حكمية, but we don't have علم إجمالي. علم إجمالي has been dissolved. فلا مانع فيها, there's no problem in it, من الالتزام بكون وجوب الاحتياط وعدليه طريقيا. If علم الإجمالي is dissolved, okay, so it's شك ابتدائي. It is a very technical point. Focus with me. A very beautiful point. He said shak ibtidai. What does that mean? Based on maslak haqq ta'a, you have to observe shak ibtidai. So what relieves us from shak ibtidai? Remember, dalil shar'i. You got it? Basic doubts, we don't have to observe them. Why? Because religious evidences pardoned us. Okay? Pardoned us, relieved us, bara'a. What kind of evidence? Religious evidence. So now since we have religious evidence, yes, we can discuss wujub tariqi, because wujub tariqi is associated with religious evidence. Okay, so what does it say? فلا مانع فيها من الالتزام بكون وجوب الاحتياط وعدليه, that means its counterpart like اجتهادا تقليد طريقيا. Why say it there? We are talking about basic doubt. Okay? We're not talking about ilm al-ijmali umbrella. We are talking about now the ilm al-ijmali has been dissolved. We have basic doubt. Or we have a narration. We have basic doubt. Okay? So in basic doubts, shak ibtidai, what comes in? Maslak haqq ta'a says you have to observe. I'm repeating. Maslak haqq ta'a says you have to. But Dalil Shar'i came and pardoned us. So Dalil Shar'i. Then we have room for Wujub Tariqi. Okay? So وعد لي طريقا أي منجزا للواقع. Okay? In this area, why سيدنا? لأن, because أدلة الأصول العقلية, no, it says أصول الشرعية. Oh really? Oh, yes, it says usul al-Sharia. That means principles proven by Sharia, by text, by Dalil Shar'i. Okay? Look at how beautifully he says, okay, if you want to really say wujub tariqi, there's one scenario we can give you. Where? In the basic doubt. Either it's basic doubt initially or basic doubt after dissolving of the ilm al-ijmali. So he says لأن أدلة الأصول الشرعية, أصول الشرعية, I thought أصول العقلية, yes, احتياط مسلك حق قطاع أصول عقلي for سيد الخوي قدس سره. But for سيد الخوي قدس سره, دليل البراءة, pardon or relieving of responsibility, has been production of the religious evidences. There is religious evidences. Okay, that's fine. In this scenario, you can use the wujub tariqi here to prove the munajjiziyya of the munajjiziyya. Okay, أي منجز وذلك لأن أدلة الأصول الشرعية, religious evidences that mean religious براءة, not عقلية, شرعية. كما بيناه في محله, as we have explained in its place, location, in other section. He has discussed a lot in Bara'a in his usul محاضرات في أصول الفقه, 5 volumes of علم الأصول of Sayyid al-Qudus Sirra, where the first slide you will not understand. I'm telling you, I mean, if I'll not explain this to you, it will be very difficult for you to understand each line. We're taking on one page, like 1 hour. So, كما بيناه في محله. Okay. Now, دليل الشرعي. Some ulamas, they say براءة شرعية is only for شبهة موضوعية. Focus with me. Some ulama, they say it's only in the area of شبهة حكمية. Sayyid Alkhoei, Shaykh Muhammad Baqir Sadr says, Dalil al-Bara'a, when it came, evidence of Bara'a when it came, it did not have restrictions and limitations. It was mutlaq, it was absolute. It did not have qaid, okay? Mutlaq, muqayyad, ilm al-usul. It did not have qaid, it was mutlaq. What does that mean? That means for example, I'll give you رفع عن أمتي ما لا يعلمون. It did not say رفع عن أمتي it has been relieved from my nation whatever they do not know. They've been pardoned of whatever they don't have knowledge or they do not know. So did the Prophet say in شبه حكمية, شبه موضوعية? No. So Sayyid Alkhoei and his student Sayyid Sadr, he says دليل البراء دليل عام. It is inclusive to all type of شبهات الحكمية والموضوعية. It is not restricted to شبهة حكمية, or it is not restricted. Because if it is restricted to شبهة موضوعية, what will happen? دليل البراءة does not take شبهة حكمية. That means we have to use مسلك حق الطاعة. Focus with me, I'll repeat this again. If دليل البراءة limits its application on shubha mawdu'iyya, this is I don't know which one is najis, or I don't know this water is najis or pure. Mawdu', I know the ruling. If dalil al-bara is here applied only on the shubhat mawdu'iyya, that means that shubha al-hukmi, what will happen? Ihtiyat. Then no room for wujub tariqi. Okay? No room for wujub tariqi on the level of maraja, shubha hukmiya. But Shaykh al-Sadr or Sayyid Alkhoei Quddasa Sirruh, they say, no, this the language of bara'a did not have any qaid in it, did not have any restrictions. And no, رفع عن أمتي ما لا يعلمون في الشبهة الموضوعية, رفع عن أمتي ما لا يعلمون في الشبهة الموضوعية. There's nothing like that. It's رفع عن أمتي ما لا يعلمون, absolute. That means it's inclusive to both types of shubha, موضوعية and حكمية. Unless if certain areas of موضوعية or certain areas of حكمية are exempt from dalil al-bara'a, which is the case in certain areas. Dalil al-bara'a is not inclusive to certain types of shubhat al-hukmiyya. Okay? Besides ilm al-ijmali, definitely not. But we are talking about basic doubts. There where you see maraja, they say qasir, muqassir. So that means there are some limitations in certain areas because there are some narrations, they specified it. Other scholars, they understood these are general. But Sayyid Al-Khoei's methodology, whatever ruling comes on a specific area, we need to limit that ruling in specific area. We cannot generalize it to other areas. Okay? So, but dalil al-bara'a is inclusive to shubha hukmi, shubha mawdu'i. So he says, كما بيناه في محله, as we have explained, غير قاصرة الشمول لموارد الشبهة الحكمية. It is not preventing shubha to be it's shubhat to be applied on shubhat al-hukmiyya. It is inclusive to shubhat al-hukmiyya. Now the easy simple word would be dalil al-bara is inclusive to shubhat al-hukmiyya. So shubhat al-hukmiyya is dalil al-bara is applied. That means what? No ilm al-ijmali. So dalil al-bara is shar'i or aqli. Sayyid Alkhoei, shar'i. So if shar'i, there is a room for wujub al-tariqi. Okay, so he says that في محل غير قاصرة غير قاصرة الشمول لموارد الشبهات الحكمية قبل الفحص. What does that mean شبهات الحكمية قبل الفحص? I have doubt. Okay, I have doubt in شبهة الحكمية. As a marja, let's say you are a mujtahid and your doubt. Okay, you have not researched. So here, before researching, you are not responsible. شك ابتدائي. Is Salat al wajiba or not? Too many hadiths, too many importance. Until this extent that some of the hadith mentions that if somebody does not pray these, do not take his testimony. Okay, this much importance is there for certain nawafil. Do not take his testimony. It's a condemnation. Do not trust him if he's not observing Salat al. I know one of my teachers was very strict. You are not praying Salat al-Layl? I don't trust you all. Oh my goodness, our Maulana is very tough and strict, and then he'll bring this hadith. You see, our Imams, they said that if somebody does not offer nighttime prayers or nawafil, don't trust him. So there's a condemnation, creates a doubt. Is Salat al wajib or not? This shak ibtidai. Okay, shubha what? Shubha hukmiyah. Now, before finding out further, okay, fahs, investigating further, I can just say it is not wajib. Why? Because I don't have yaqeen, I don't have daleel. Daleel is doubtful, shady. Salat al-Layl is mustahab. Then there are condemnation of leaving Salat al-Layl. So it gives you doubt. Khalas, that's fine. But after you investigate and research, and find out, then you have to abide to the ruling you concluded. That's obvious. Okay, if you find out it's wajib, wajib. If you find out it's mustahab, mustahab. We're not talking about after you find out. He says, qabla al-fahs. You don't have any responsibility. Qabla al-fahs. You don't have any responsibility either to consider wajib or ihtiyat or whatever. So Dalil al-Bara is inclusive to Shubhat al-Hukmiyya before finding out, as long as it's Shubha. But once you find out the direction, then it's no more Shubha Hukmiyya. Then you have to follow the yaqeen. ومقتضى ذلك, okay, that necessitates what? أن الأحكام الواقعية لا تتنجس على المكلفين. دليل البراءة. If you are using دليل البراءة, so, and this is wujub al-tariqi. Dalil al-bara'a tells you that if you are doubtful in a ruling, shubha hukmiyya, it is not munajjis. Dalil al-bara'a, religious evidences. There is no munajjiziyya. You will not be held accountable on the day of judgment. في ظرف عدم وصولها. I did not receive any dalil of obligation of Salat al-Layl. Okay, I do not have. So this kind of knowledge of doubt, knowledge, I know that it's a doubtful situation. Salat al-Layl, maybe it's wajib, maybe it's not wajib. Okay, it's not ilm ijmali. I have a knowledge about the doubt. So that means I know it's a doubt. I'm not doubting in the doubt. I know it's a doubt. Okay. So he says that, and I have not received any confirmation about which direction should I go. So qabla wusuliha, before achieving it, before having the evidence, having the clarity. Okay. So in this case, I don't have the real rule. So لا تتنجس. So أحكام الواقعية, whatever is in the knowledge of Allah, the real rule, I did not receive it. So Maslak Haqq Ta'a says, if you're doubting in Hukm al-Waqi, apply it. But Dalil al-Bara says, Dalil Shar'i, if you doubt in Hukm al-Waqi, you don't have to. So that means that doubt in Ahkam al-Waqiyah has been only restricted to Mawarid al-Ilm al-Ijmali, where you have knowledge and doubt. But if the doubt is free from knowledge, basic doubt, Dalil al-Bara is inclusive to Shubha Hukmiyah as well. So he says, the mukallaf, once the responsible person or layman does not receive the ruling, okay, he doesn't have any responsibility. إذن يكون التنجز مستندا إلى وجوب الاحتياط. So احتياط is wajib, taqleed is wajib, or taqleed is wajib, or ijtihad is wajib. Then, so what does that mean? That means there is munajjizi. Munajjizi depends on what? Obligation. If it's obligation, it's munajjiziyah. Obligation of what? Of ihtiyat or taqlid or ijtihad. إذن يكون التنجس مستندا, depending on, relies on. Mustanid, this pillow, we call it musnad. Okay, sanad of the hadith, the link or the support of the hadith. Without that, hadith goes down. So there's a link of the hadith. مستندا إلى وجوب الاحتياط. إذن يكون التنجس مستندا. That means munajjiziyya is depending on what? On proving the obligation of precaution, or having a proof, hujjah, through taqleed, because mujtahid is hujjah, he's qualified person. So you follow the, or mujtahid, he finds out that this is wajib or salat al-layl is mustahab, then it is hujjah upon him. It is proof for him and against him, mu'adhiri and munajjiziyah. So he says that then ahkam depends, munajjiz depends on what? On the obligation of ihtiyat. Or by having the proof through the taqlid or through the ijtihad. بحيث لولا الأمر بها, if there was no command to observe ihtiyat or taqlid or ijtihad. In which area? We're still in the scenario of what? شبهة ابتدائية, شك ابتدائي, شبهة موضوعية وحكمية, basic shak. So basic shak, there's a command for us. We have been relieved, we have been pardoned. So لولا الأمر بها لم يكن أي موجب لتنجز الواقع على المكلفين. So if there was no hukum, no command on observing ihtiyat or observing taqlid, observing ijtihad, this scenario is basic doubt scenario. Remember, we are still in the scenario number 2. Okay, don't lose your thread, we're almost done. لولا الأمر بها لم يكن أي موجب لتنجز الواقع على المكلفين. That means there will be no munajjiziyah. Munajjiziyah is depending on obligation of either ihtiyat, either taqlid, ijtihad. So if there was command to do ihtiyat or to taqlid or ijtihad, munajjiziyah has been produced. If there was no command of ihtiyat or taqlid or ijtihad, there would be no munajjiziyah. There will be no threat for violation, because it is for the command. Which scenario? In the doubtful, in shak ibtidai. ومن ثم, so therefore, قلنا في محله, we have mentioned in each place, إن إيجاب الاحتياط طريقي لا محل. Ihtiyat is obligatory, okay, based on religious evidences. In this scenario number 2, we are still discussing scenario number 2, because it's he said before it's not tariqi, now he says tariqi. Baba, because here we have adilla shar'iyya, religious evidences. If there is religious evidences, the room of tariqi is open. So in the shakil ibtidai, where the religious evidences has pardoned us, in this case, if anything comes and obligates the shak ibtidai, okay, so, or any precautionary measures obligate shak ibtidai, then it is without any doubt tariqi. That means the munajjiziyya, okay, wujub al-ihtiyat, is tariq for munajjiziyya. It's a path for the liability, that you are accountability. You are going to be held accountable if you will not. So why am I doing ihtiyat? To relieve the accountability. Why am I doing ijtihad? To relieve. So the target is what? The target is not ijtihad. The target is relieving yourself from the responsibility or the accountability. So it is tariq احتياط is طريق to relieve yourself from responsibility. اجتهاد is طريق for you to relieve your responsibility. So these three options, the goal is one. So the goal is required. That's why you have an option. Either you become mujtahid, either you become ihtiyat. Because ihtiyat is not wajib by itself. Ijtihad is not wajib by itself. Taqleed is not wajib by itself. It is tariq to obligate. Now remember, we are discussing adilla shar'iyya realm. Scenario number 2, شك ابتدائي. وهو لما أشرنا من أدلة الأصول الشرعية شاملة لموارد الاحتياط. Okay, that the pardoning of the religious evidences, براءة, دليل البراءة, okay, it is inclusive to the areas of احتياط as well. Okay, وهو يقتضي عدم تنجز الأحكام قبل الوصول, and it necessitates that before having conclusion of ihtiyat, before knowing the ruling of it through ijtihad, before knowing the ruling through taqleed, there's no تنجزية منجزية. Okay, فمعناه أن الواقع منجز على المكلف بحيث لو ترك فلو وجب. Okay, ويقتضي عدم تنجز قبل وصولها. What if I receive the ruling? Okay, what if I receive the obligation of ihtiyat? What if I receive the obligation of taqleed and ihtiyat in the case of this doubt? فلو وجب معه الاحتياط فمعناه أن الواقع منجز. If the ihtiyat becomes wajib, طريق to what? منجزية will become definitely inevitable. Okay, accountably will be inevitable. لو ترك الواقع بتركه العمل, let's say he went against the reality, واقع. Why? He did not perform احتياط. بالاحتياط لاستحق العقاب على مخالفته, then he would deserve the punishment on violation. وهو المعنى الوجوب الطريقي. So وجوب الطريقي, obligation, the طريقي obligation is path to what? To منجزية. What is the component of this wujub? احتياط or احتياط واجب or تقليد واجب or اجتهاد واجب. So these are all tariq for one target. Okay? Remember moon sighting, whatever tariq. The main thing is the entrance of the month. The entrance of the month is important. Now you sight it by moon, you do it by calculation, you do it this, that, whatever ways, which gives you knowledge about entrance of the month in a way the moon can be sighted by the people of the earth. And finally, ثم إن بما حققناه ينكشف أن مجرد وجوب الحجة الواقعية لا يترتب عليه التنجس بوجه. Just existence of a real proof does not cause منجزية. Okay? That mujarrad, just merely you know that it is hujjah in reality, it is not going to make it munajjiziyah. Why? Unless, okay, there's some rule wajib. Let's say Salatul Jum'ah is wajibah, for example, in waqa. Am I munajjaz? No, you have to choose a path of munajjiziyah. What is the path of munajjiziyah? Dalil al-ihtiyat or تقليد or اجتهاد. فإن الحجة الواقعية لا تزيد على الأحكام الواقعية في أنها لا تصح العقاب ما لم تصل إلى المكلف. So whatever is in reality, okay, before receiving whatever is reality, it is not going to validate the punishment for me. I have not received the ruling. So either so the دليل الاحتياط makes احتياط واجب. دليل الحجة, okay, proof by knowledge, تقليد or احتياط makes تقليد and احتياط واجب. So if it was not for لولا أدلة وجوب الاحتياط, if it was not for the evidences of obligation of احتياط or acquiring proof through the تقليد or اجتهاد, the reality, whatever is there, hujjah, the real proof, will not will not be more than the real rule in the realm of Allah. I have not received it. Okay, so this is where Dalil al-Bara al-Shar'iyya bypasses the Maslak Haqq al-Ta'a. Okay, and or any other dalil which makes, like for example, um, al-istishab. Istishab dalil shar'i. Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam said, لا تنقض اليقين بالشك وإنما انقضه بيقين in the context of the hadith, because there are several narrations. That means do not invalidate, or do not invalidate your yaqeen. Do not remove your yaqeen because of doubt. If you want to remove yaqeen, remove it with a similar yaqeen, not with a doubt. So I know this dress is pure. Okay, I am doubting. Doubting. Let's see. What type of doubt is it? I have yaqeen and I have doubt. Okay. It is basic doubt? No, I have yaqeen. Then I'm doubting, does that yaqeen continue or not? My aba was pure. I'm doubting, did it become najis or not? Okay. So if it's najis, munajjiziyah. If it is not najis, mu'adhiriyah. It was pure. Okay. Maslak haqq ta'a says consider it najis. Before it was pure, I am doubting. Maslak haqq ta'a. Dalil al-bara'a, or not dalil bara'a, sorry. Dalil al-shar'i, religious evidences, gave me a principle, asal, usul, usul shar'iyya, usul aqliyya, usul shar'iyya. usul aqliyya مثل احتياط. usul shar'iyya like bara'a, like istisxab. What is istishab? The hadith I mentioned. Hadith, dalil shar'i, gives you a principle. Whenever you have yaqeen, hold to your yaqeen. Do not invalidate your yaqeen because of doubt. That means my aba is going to be pure. But I doubt it might have become najis. Yes, but this doubt is associated with yaqeen, and we have dalil shar'i, asal shar'i, religious principle narrated by Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, obligating upon me to implement this ruling and consider it pure. Okay, so this is this istishab also could be shubha hukmiya, shubha mawdu'iyya. Okay, so perfect. فإن الحجة الواقعية, whatever is in the reality, okay, proof in reality, I have doubt, but in reality there is hujjah, but I don't know, it had not reached me. لا تزيد على الأحكام الواقعية. So the proof is associated with the knowledge about the real laws, in the knowledge of Allah. Okay, and it is not, I have not received it. So if I have not received the actual ruling, waqi, then it is not going to be munajjiziyah. It's not going to validate the punishment. فإن الحجة الواقعية لا تزيد على الأحكام الواقعية في أنها لا تصحح العقاب ما لم تصل إلى المكلف. Okay. ثم إن كون التقليد في موارد علم الإجمالي واجبا طريقيا يبتني. Okay, what about تقليد? I have to follow a marja. I have to learn my ruling. It is wajib upon me. There are narrations also. Okay, there are narrations. But for ilm al-ijmali, we don't need narration. Okay. ثم إن كون التقليد, performing taqleed, referring to a mujtahid, في موارد العلم الإجمالي, in the case of where there is knowledge associated with doubts, واجبا طريقيا, to consider it طريقي a wajib. Okay. يبتني على أن يكون معناه تعلم فتوى المجتهد وقتها. That means it will be based on knowledge. Okay, knowledge about the fatwa. That's why I made it red, because remember in the previous session I said taqleed could be knowledge, could be practice. So he says yes, if there is a hadith we mentioned previously, that why didn't you learn? Okay, he said I did not know. Why didn't you learn? Okay, you should have learned. That is taqleed. That means you should have either done ijtihad, or either followed either learn the or taken from the done ijtihad or taken from a mujtahid. Why didn't you do that? Why didn't you learn? Remember that narration we mentioned? So he says, if we are going to consider wujub tariqi, taqleed, in the area of ilm al-ijmali, then we need to have evidence, religious evidence for tariqi. معناه تعلم فتوى المجتهد أو أخذها, taking the fatwa of mujtahid, practicing it, or learning it. But he says, according to me, Sayyid Alkhoei says, according to me, whatever my argument is, وَأَمَّا بِنَاءً عَلَى مَا هُوَ الصَّحِيحُ عِنْدَنَا, as for basing the argument on whatever is correct to me, من أنه العمل استنادا إلى فتوى المجتهد. It's not learn. Taqleed is not learning. Taqleed is practicing. According to what I have concluded, the definition of taqleed is not learning the fatwa of mujtahid. It is practicing the fatwa of mujtahid. So what does that mean, Sayyidina? That means learning is not wajib, practicing is wajib, knowledge is not wajib. But Sayyidina, what about that hadith? That is other scholars, they had used that hadith. For me, I'm not considering taqleed learning. I'm considering taqleed practicing. Okay, so al-amal فالتقليد نفس العمل ولا معنى لكونه منجزا الواقع. فالمنجز على هذا هو الأمر بالتعلم بالتقليد أو الاحتياط. So this meaning which the other scholars they say تعلم, if I say, I am saying عمل is wajib. تعلم is not wajib, عمل is wajib. Okay, so if عمل is wajib, then I'm not looking at munajjiziyah in learning. Okay, learning. So taqleed is not wajib unless if it was tariq to practice. So the practice is the target. Ta'allum, learning, or doing ijtihad, these two things, they lead you to amal. So فالتقليد نفس العمل ولا معنى لكون منجز الواقع. Taqleed is practicing. Practice does not make the reality, the real responsibility upon you. The munajjiz is what? فالمنجز على هذا هو الأمر بالتعلم بالتقليد أو الاجتهاد. So the command which obligates upon you, the command which obligates upon you to do, to learn, to do taqleed, to learn through taqleed or through ijtihad. That is the one which is going to hold you responsible. If you don't do taqleed, if you don't learn, so learning is, so taqleed and ijtihad is tariqi. The target is what? To practice. And this practice will not happen if you don't learn. So the learning is tariq. Based on what? Based on the evidence which says, why didn't you learn? So that learn is not based on mawdu'iyya. Learning itself is not wajib. Learning is wajib because it's a tariq. And how do you learn? Either you do become mujtahid or either you do taqleed. Okay, so learning is through ijtihad or taqleed is path for you to relieve yourself from the accountability or the munajjiziyah. فالمنجز على هذا هو الأمر بالتعلم أمر بالتقليد أمر بالاجتهاد. That is the munajjiz here, the one which will hold you accountable is the command of learning, not practicing. For me, I don't claim learning. I claim taqleed is practicing. وأما عدم كوني وجوبا نفسيا. So وجوب طريقي خلاص. Now we are saying, is it wujub nafsi or ghairi? Is this wujub nafsi, the relieving yourself from the responsibility? And he says this is more clearer than the previously because we did this slide, so don't panic. فلعله أوضح من سابقيه. This is more clearer than the previous one. وذلك لأنه لا وجه له سوى توهم أن تعلم الأحكام الشرعية واجب بدعوى استفادته من مثل ما ورد من أن طلب العلم فريضة، وقوله عز وجل فاسألوا أهل الذكر إن كنتم لا تعلمون، وغيرها مما يكون الاستدلال به على المدعى كما هو ذهب إلى الأردبيلي وتبعه بعض المتأخرين. So he says that nafsi is also associated with what? With religious evidences. If we consider taqleed nafsi, if we consider ijtihad nafsi, then he says this is also another delusion. Okay? Waham. Says, so this is also clearer. Wajib, it's not wajib nafsi. Because we, first of all, the redundancy. We have already proven with maslak haqqu ta'a, okay? Taqleed ijtihad and ihtiyat is wajib, not based on dalil shar'i. But let's say those like Al-Ardabili, Quddus Sirr Muqaddas Al-Ardabili, and others who came after him, they said, no, it is wujub shar'i. فلعله أوضح من سبب وذلك لأنه لا وجه له سوى توهم. There's no proper base. It's just a delusion. It's just like a waham. It's just like a misconception they have. أن تعلم الأحكام الشرعي واجب. That learning is wajib. We said learning is not wajib. Practicing is wajib. Okay? For practicing, this learning becomes tariq. Okay? So learning is tariq. By ijtihad you learn. By taqleed you learn. So it's a tariq. For what? For amal. So it's not mawdu'. So they considered it like mawdu', that you have to learn. No, if I'm not in a situation to learn the rules of hayd, you're a guy, okay? You're not going to encounter the rules of hayd. You're not going to practice, so you don't have to learn the ahkam of hayd. You see, this is a clear example. But if there was a woman, she encounters hayd, she doesn't have to know the whole chapter of hayd. The areas, monthly period areas which is applicable upon her, she needs to learn. So what is the issue here? Learning or practicing? He says, I'm saying practicing. You don't have to learn. Okay? So learning is a pathway. Ijtihad is pathway. Taqleed is pathway to relieve yourself from responsibility in the areas which you need to practice. So that's why if you open the book of law, he says يجب تعلم الأحكام المبتليات. That means the things which encounter you have to learn. So it's all about practice. So he said that the narration, those Muqaddas al-Ardabil and others, they depended on the religious. They said taqleed and ijtihad is a religious obligation. Why? Because there's a dalil. Talabul ilmi farida. And seeking knowledge is farida. He says, I'm not disagreeing with that. But it does not prove taqleed. Taqleed and ijtihad is proven by maslak haqqu ta'a dalil aqli. This just gives that it's one of the ways to learn your ruling. It's like a pathway. The main thing is amal, not learning. And the qawl fas'alu ahl dhikr, ask the people of the people of dhikr. That means people of Quran, people of Ahlul Bayt, people who have knowledge of Quran and Hadith. There are several interpretations, so that's why I'm just trying to just skim through the target. What we are aiming here is فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. If you have no knowledge, then ask. Ask means taqleed. Okay? طلب العلم تقليد اجتهاد. This is what they said. وغيرهما, and other than these two narrations, which they used it such as the claim that this proves taqleed and ijtihad. And this claim was by who? على هذا المدعى كما ذهب إليه الأردبيلي وتبعه بعض المتأخرين, such as Ardabili, Muqaddas al-Ardabili rahmatullah alayh, and some of those who followed him. إلا, his argument, إلا أننا بينا في محله, as we have explained in the location, in its related location, أن تعلم الأحكام ليس بواجب نفسي. learning is not wajib nafsi. Learning, because these evidences, they indicate learning is obligatory. It's a path, like obligation of moon sighting. It's a path. But if you have alternative route, you don't have to sight the moon. وإنما التعلم طريق إلى العمل. Learning is path for practicing. So practicing is the must. ومن هنا ورد في بعض الأخبار, and from here some of the narrations mention أن العبد يؤتى به يوم القيامة. If I'm extra because last week we did not take, so this is our final slide. I want to start a new topic next week. So please, if you get your brains are sparking like mine, so you try to repeat the video several times until you grasp the idea. So this is ومن هنا ورد بعض, some of the narrations they mention what أن العبد يؤتى به يوم القيامة فيقال له هلا عملت. I explained this previously. I'm not going to repeat. Why didn't you learn? Okay. And this is the where the text, where the source of the narration and the sanad of the narration. You can check the sanad by yourself. سمعت جعفر بن محمد عليه السلام وقد سئل عن قوله تعالى قل فلله الحجة البالغة فقال إن الله تعالى يوم يقول للعبد يوم القيامة عبدي أكنت عالما فإن قال نعم قال له أفلا عملت. So on the day of judgment, Imam Ja'far Sadiq alayhi salatu will ask about, tell them, O Muhammad, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the proof, okay? Lillah al-hujjah al-baligha. That means the hujjah, decisive hujjah. That means no one can argue with the proof of Allah. If Allah sets a proof and against you, you cannot, no, God, I was this, I was that. No. His proof is decisive. No one can argue. إن الله تعالى يقول يوم القيامة يقول للعبد, in the day of judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, why did you learn? Did you have the knowledge of the rule? He says, yes, I had the knowledge of the rule. So Sayyid Alkhoei says the target is what? قال له أفلا عملت بما علمت. Then why didn't you practice? So the condemnation is not about knowledge. The condemnation is about the practicing. وَإِنْ قَالَ كُنْتُ جَاهِلًا. And if he says, I was ignorant about the ruling, I did not know. قَالَ له, Allah will say, أَفَلَا تَعَلَّمْتَ حَتَّى تَعْمَلْ. Then why didn't you learn so that you can practice? Again, practice. So amal, practicing is the main target. The main target. The knowledge, learning is tariq and not wajib. So that's why he said it's not wujub tariqi. Yeah, it's wujub tariqi on the level of practice, but on the level of initial rule, it has been proven by Maslak Haqqu Ta'adalil Aqli has already said. So I don't need these hadith to prove the wujub of ihtiyat taqleed. These hadith, they indicate the amal is wajib and ijtihad and taqleed are pathway to practice. You see what he's trying to prove here? He's saying ijtihad, I don't need wujub al-tariqi. I don't need this hadith to prove ijtihad and taqleed. Already proven. What I'm using this hadith to prove that the taqleed is the practicing is obligatory, and practicing will require the taqleed and ihtiyat. So if we are going to use this hadith, then yes, it's going to prove wujub tariqi. Okay, or the previous narration wujub nafsi. And this is the final على أنه لو سلمنا وجوب التعلم. So if we say hypothetically says that learning is wajib, he says practicing is wajib, learning is tariq. He says if we hypothetically say practicing is learning is wajib, then learning becomes wujub nafsi. Okay, not tariqi then. Then you have to learn wujub mawdu'i, as we said. So على أن لو سلمنا وجوب التعلم, let's say hypothetically we say, okay, let's say تعلم is wajib. I disagree. I say amal is wajib. But let's say those who said ta'al muqaddas al-Ardabili, ta'allum is wajib. Then in that case, فالحكم بالوجوب النفسي في تلك الطرق وجعل الاحتياط عدلا للاجتهاد والتقليد مما لا محصلة وذلك. So this is what you are going to prove. There's nothing other than that. Then it's وجوب النفسي. That means احتياط, ijtihad and taqleed. It is undoubtedly is going to be the wajib, not the tariq, because ijtihad is knowledge, taqleed is knowledge, ihtiyat is engulfing whatever is doubtful knowledge. Okay, so مما لا محصلة له وذلك لأن الاحتياط إنما هو الإتيان بالمأمور فهو امتثال للحكم حقيقة. So احتياط is also included in wujub al-nafsi hypothetically for Muqaddas al-Ardabili, because he used as wujub al-nafsi what? Ta'allum. So how can ihtiyat be ta'allum? Ihtiyat gives me knowledge that I have relieved my responsibility. Doubtful response. So gives me knowledge. So the knowledge is also acquired based on this route of deduction. إنما هو الإتيان بالمأمور. So ihtiyat means that you are going to practice whatever is commanded. فهو امتثال للحكم حقيقة. So you are fulfilling your responsibility in applying your ruling in reality. لا أن الاحتياط تعلم. احتياط is not learning. احتياط is fulfilling your responsibility, doubtful responsibility. Okay? But at the end, the product is gives you knowledge that you have fulfilled. But it does not give you the knowledge of the hukum. لضرورة أن المحتاج جاهل بالحكم. But so because it is obvious that the one who does the precautionary measure is ignorant about the rule. So it's shubha hukmiyya. Okay? أو بالمأمور به, or whatever is he's commanded to do. إلا أنه قاطع بالامتثال. So except that he is attaining or obtaining certainty by fulfilling the doubtful responsibility through precautionary measures. So he gets the knowledge that I've done without having the knowledge of hukum. Okay, so here wajazim bi ityane, and is definitely clear that he has fulfilled what was doubtful. على ما هو عليه فلا وجه للوجوب النفسي في الاحتياط. So he said that there is no aspect to use a wujub nafsi to prove the ihtiyat, because wujub nafsi is depending on ta'allum. Here he got the knowledge that he has relieved, but he did not get the knowledge of the hukum. The hukum was doubtful. So he said there is no area to apply wujub nafsi, that means wujub mawdu'i, on the ihtiyat. Taqleed ijtihad, okay. So see, so that means when they claimed it's ijtihad taqleed wajib based on an ilm, he says you don't get ilm. So this was the misconception of Muqaddas al-Ardabili and those who mentioned, who used the evidences, religious evidences, to prove that it is wujub nafsi. نعم لا بأس به في التقليد والاجتهاد. I said, okay, taqleed ijtihad is knowledge, but ihtiyat is not knowledge. Even though he's certain, he has the knowledge that he's fulfilled the responsibility, but he did not learn. He did not gain the knowledge about the responsibility. So he said wujub nafsi does not apply in that area. Wujub nafsi, yes, there's no harm in applying wujub nafsi based on the religious evidences in taqleed and ijtihad, because it نظرا إلى أنهما تعلم للأحكام, because the ijtihad and taqleed, both of these tools, are source of learning the rule. هذا إذا فسرنا التقليد بما يرجع. Again he says, this is, I was arguing that those who consider taqleed is learning. For me, taqleed is not learning. For me, taqleed is taqleed and ijtihad is a pathway, tariq. Okay? If we are going to use religious evidences, then it has to take me to the amal, to the practice. So to practice, I need to learn. So learning is tariq, ijtihad is tariq, ihtiyat is tariq, which takes me towards the practicing of the ruling. بما يرجع إلى تعلم فتوى المجتهد. وأما إذا فسرناه, now he's concluding this last slide. As for if we are going to explain that it is based on my theory or my direction or my conclusion, as we have explained in its place, that taqleed is practicing, not learning. Okay, ijtihad is the taqleed is practicing. So ijtihad and taqleed, they take you to practicing the fatwa. أو أما إذا فسرناه بما سيأتي في محله, and as for if our explanation of the analysis of this hadith, as we have explained in the previous places, that the taqleed is الاستناد في العمل إلى فتوى الغير. Taqleed is depending on practicing your responsibility depending on fatwa of someone else. وأن تعلم الفتوى ليس من التقليد في شيء. He says learning the fatwa is not taqleed. Taqleed means you emulate, you follow, you practice. So he says learning is not practicing, learning is not depending. You learn to practice. Learning by itself is not obligatory. ليس مثل فلا يمكن أن يقال إن التقليد تعلم الأحكام. You cannot say taqleed is learning the rulings. بل التقليد هو الاستناد. He repeats here. التقليد is depending on the fatwa of the mujtahid. والتعلم طريق إليه. And the learning is a path towards it. وأما احتمال أن يكون الوجوب النفسي في تلك الطرق مستندا إلى المصلحة الواقعية الباعثة على الإيجاب الواقعي فيدفع أنه إنما يتم فيما إذا أثبتنا وجوب شرعا. He says so possibility of وجوب النفسي, that اجتهاد is واجب نفسي, تقليد is واجب نفسي, احتياطي. He says it depends on the whatever has been gained by religious evidences from the real rule. Okay, so مستند المصلحة الواقعية, whatever are the essence of this ruling, we have gained it from the reality by the religious text. Obviously, that's why we are talking about wujub nafsi. Okay, if it was not religious text, we don't talk about wujub nafsi, we just say wujub aqli. But this is, he says that as for the probability that wujub nafsi is a pathway depending on the real essence of sharia, real essence of ahkam, which makes the obligatory obligations of ahkam real ahkam. This is not correct. This is a misconception. And now in فيدفعه, that means we push away. That means we counter argue it. How? And now إنما يتم فيما, that will be the case if we are going to prove the obligation of taqleed and ijtihad religiously. شرعا إذا أثبتنا وجوب شرعا. شرعا means religious evidences. فإنه في مقام التعليل حينئذ يمكن أن يقال. So if let's say if it was religious evidences, yes, we can say that. Remember, Sayyid Alkhoei does not say religious evidences. He says if it was religious evidences that proves the obligation, then إن وجوبها منبعث عن نفس المصلحة الواقعية. Because we have religious evidences, we gain the knowledge of whatever is in the essence of the Sharia ruling in reality. إلا أنه أول الكلام لعدم قيام الدليل على وجوب الاجتهاد والاحتياط. But from the beginning, before reaching this level, there is no evidence, religious evidence, obligating ijtihad or ihtiyat. Ijtihad, even It's a modern, it's a contemporary word. Before ijtihad was condemned, as we are going to see in ilm al-usul. نعم لا بأس بذلك في التقليد بناء على دلالة الأدلة على الوجوب الشرعي كما بنى عليه بعض مشايخنا المحققين. As we read this ahadith, Muqaddas al-Ardabil and those, he said yes, if religious evidences gives us proof, then it gives us proof of taqleed, but it does not give us proof of ijtihad. Okay, because ijtihad, the hadith, they condemn the ijtihad seriously. So that's why mujtahid was like a condemned title. Then later on, in the fourth or fifth century, the word ijtihad came into the sharia or the ilm al-usul of school of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. What the words ijtihad, like the companions ijtihad, Abu Hanifa's ijtihad, they like the opposition of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. If they will hurt Ahlul Bayt, they'll say it was ijtihad. And the mujtahid akhta, he made an error. So if mujtahid does error, he gets one thawab, one reward. He is right, he gets two reward. So all the dhulm on Ahl al-Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam was ijtihad and was justified by Allah will reward me. Even if it was wrong, Allah will reward me. This is how a lot of dhulm was happening on Ahl al-Bayt. This is the final conclusion. فالمتحصل, the conclusion is أن الاجتهاد وعدليه, الاجتهاد وعدليه, اجتهاد, the two counterparts of it, تقليد and احتياط, لا يحتمل فيها الوجوب الشرعي. There is no probability of religious. All what I argued about religious evidences were others, and I countered it. So that leaves me only with dalil aqli. So it says that لا يحتمل فيها الوجوب الشرعي. There is no probability in it for the religious obligation. Uh, Inclusively, the موضوعي, like the self obligation, or غيري, obligation for other thing, or طريقي. So no موضوعي, no نفسي, no غيري, no طريقي. All these religious obligations are not, taqleed is not, taqleed and ijtihad and ihtiyat are not based on, there's no probability at all, wow, for Sayyid Alkhoei, that it is a wujub shar'i, neither it is nafsi, nor it is ghairi, nor it is tariqi. وإنما its obligation is only and only and only merely وجوب عقلي, intellectual obligation, بالمعنى الذي قررناه آنفا, with the meaning we have explained it previously. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين. Long journey, okay, just one page or two pages of Tanqeeh took us to a long journey, but you learn a lot of ilm al-usul in it, okay. So even if you open the book of Ilm Usul and you try to go through it, it will be easy to understand Ilm al-Usul, Halaq al-Ula especially. Okay, and some areas of Halaq al-Thaniya. Now we have completed this. There are still topics of taqlid and ijtihad. Now what I will do, since it took longer time, I think the dhuhr of the Imam Ajjalallahu Ta'ala will happen and will not grasp properly. So there was a suggestion that we love this argument, but why can't we do some practical topics, arguments on practical topics and hot topics? Baba, Taqleed is one of the hot topics. There are people, they reject the Taqleed. So that's why I brought the Taqleed. However, the details of the Taqleed we are not going to go through, because our purpose was practically Taqleed is wajib based on intellectual evidences. And that is why, since it's a practical thing, and inshallah, don't worry, we are going to not do all Tanqeeh. We are going to take the practical rules which encounter the people. We are going to go through them. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين. I do apologize for taking 48 minutes extra, but consider two sessions. Last week we did not do, so this was qada and ada, one for last week. So if you are watching the video, you can break it down into 15 minutes until you finish 1 week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.